How's it going, YouTube? It's Evo here from Automobile Passion, and today we're actually going to make something a little bit different. It's not a review. It's not the whether you should buy one. It's actually something I think you guys should consider buying. Last night I was thinking around. It was Thanksgiving. By the way, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Well, happy late Thanksgiving now. But I was thinking about, what are some cool cars that I guess like younger enthusiast people just getting their license could pick up for something like maybe 5,000 or less, or around that mark. The first one I want to go over is actually something that, I think it's pretty, you could get them pretty cheap, and they're also pretty easy to work on, in my opinion, at least I think so. And then parts are relatively cheap. We have the 1997 to 2004 Volkswagen Golf GTI. It's considered the Mark IV generation of the Golf. And I say GTI because, the base model variant of the GTI, I mean, the Golf is, it's okay, but then again, it's kind of, it's kind of slow. But the GTI, it actually came with a 1.8 liter turbocharged inline 4. It made around 170 horsepower, which is, it's not bad. It doesn't sound like a lot, but then you got to remember that if you get the little three-door hatchback of the Golf, like the the little two-door with the rear hatch, those things don't really weigh that much. And the weight escapes my mind right now, but 170 horsepower, and especially I would highly recommend you get the stick shift, because the automatic is only as good as an automatic can be. But if you do get the manual, oh man, those things they're really fun cars. You have a 5-speed manual transmission, 170 horsepower with that inline 4 turbocharged. You really, in my opinion, you really just can't go wrong with that. They just seem like, fantastic little cars to drive around in. And then you can probably convince your parents to let you get one, because it's a Golf. It's a Volkswagen Golf. They're cheap, and it's relatively, I think, don't quote me on this, I could be completely wrong. I think those are relatively cheap to insure, because it's still considered a Golf. But I was doing some research. While I was doing research last night, I looked around for prices for these cars, and I saw some online. There was this one that was decently well mileaged, 120,000 miles or something like that. And it had service records, and I think the person wanted it for $4,000, which isn't bad. I mean, considered it could be like a 20-year-old Golf. Stuff's gonna break. Volkswagen isn't really known for their high quality, or at least back then they weren't. Now they're better. But me personally, I would still go with it, just because it's a little fun car you could throw around, and it's a fantastic car to learn how to drive stick shift in. So the next car I want to discuss is a about 1999 to 2006. Those are a little bit on the high range. BMW 330 Ci. Now I say Ci because that's the coupe. I think the CIC is the convertible, but I wouldn't really recommend the convertible, because then again, it's probably like if you get like a 99, that's a 19-year-old convertible. The thing's gonna rattle, it's gonna squeak, it's gonna make constant noises. It might even leak. Maybe not, but there's a chance of it. When they get older, it could be burnt out depending on where you get it. Like here in Vegas in the summer, it's really hot, so the sun pretty much destroys like soft top convertibles. So I say Ci because I think the coupe is probably the best variant out of all of them. You also have the 330i, which is just like a 4-door, which, don't get me wrong, those are still really cool cars. And if you, I guess, if you want a 4-door because you want to hang around with your friends and you give them rides usually, then I say go for it. But I would still try to look at the coupe first, just because it's a lot funner to drive. And if this video is more about towards enthusiasts than it is towards just regular people who just want a to B car, which the BMW is great for. Don't get me wrong. If you get it in the auto, you have around 220 or 230 horsepower from the 330, and those things are fun. When I tell you they're fun, I've driven one with a stick and one with an automatic, and they're both really fun. Obviously the manual is a lot funner, because you're doing the whole thing, you're shifting gears and whatnot. But the auto's still cool. You still hear that really good sounding inline 6. It sounds really good. And it's a very usable car. I think the E46 BMWs, which are the ones we're talking about right now, I think they might just be my favorite BMW 3 Series ever made, just because it's so like driver focused, while, you know, it's still sort of, you can say, modern, if you want to call it that, because the E36, in my opinion, looks outdated in today's time. And then the E92, you could probably pick some up for around the $5,000 mark, but they're gonna have like insane amount of miles. So I would highly recommend, you know, staying away from that. Now, one thing disclaimer I want to give out: when buying a BMW, it's you know, I would highly recommend you look towards the, like, underneath the car. Take a look really well underneath, because especially the E46s, those 330 engines, the inline 6 engines, the 3-liter ones, they tend to leak oil from the valve cover gaskets. So, you know, if you look around the top of the engine, or even at the bottom, look over the oil pan. If it's leaking from there, you know, maybe that's something you could use to get the price down a little bit, which I don't know if I wouldn't say it's really difficult to replace it. You could probably do it yourself. You know, if you're learning how to work on cars, you could probably do it yourself. But, you know, it's still something that you have to consider, because sure, you can drive the car like that and just keep pouring oil, but that's not, you know, that's kind of just dumb, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, some people might have money to pay somebody to fix it, but I bet you there's like 20 million like forums or like guides on the internet on how to replace your valve cover gasket on your BMW 330. So yeah, I think that car is a great choice. Me personally, I'd get it with the 5-speed auto, but you know, it's everybody else's choice. So the third car I want to talk about today is around, I think they came out 2003 to about 2008, the Infiniti G35, and I'm talking about, again, the coupe. Now you're thinking to yourself, Infiniti, that sounds like an old people's car. No, not this one, because this uses the same exact engine that the Nissan 350Z uses, the VQ35, and that engine it's really good. You know, it sounds really good. They make good power. I mean, stock, you have 300 horsepower. You know, with a stick, that's really good, and the car's rear-wheel drive, so you can get it out to, you know, you can get it to spin in a corner, do whatever you need to do. You know, you could probably even learn how to drift. Now, please don't do that, because then you'll wreck your Infiniti, but, you know, it's all a possibility. Now, you know, those cars, they're really, I guess that's the one you could probably convince your parents to get you the most, or, you know, aside from the other one that I'm about to mention, just because it's so, what do you call it? Just because the car's so, it's so, like, you know, your parents just wouldn't expect this to be like a sports car. I mean, yeah, it's a coupe, 2-door, but it's an Infiniti. And, you know, usually like your dad or your grandpa or grandma or mom, they drive like the Infinitis, but they're like the big SUVs or the older ones, whether the big ones, and the, you know, they're not really sport oriented. But this one is, and, you know, I've ridden one, I haven't driven one, but, you know, it's a decent amount of power, considering, you know, the car weighs a little bit more than the 350 does, just because, you know, it has leather seats, the leather interior and all that, you know, navigation if you get a newer one. I actually was able to find a 2007 with about 90,000 miles, and the person wanted $4,700. Now, you know, I don't know if that's a good deal or if that's kind of sketchy, you should run away, but to me that sounds like a good deal. You know, considering the kind of car you're getting for $4,700 with 90,000 miles, I don't think you can really beat that. And then insurance companies are going to walk in there and tell them it's an Infiniti, a G35, and they're going to be like, okay, let's check this out. You know, again, I could be wrong. I'm not an insurance expert or advisor, so if you know more than me, please let me know in the comment section below. The next car I actually want to discuss is something that, you know, it's pretty generic, but then again, it's kind of, you know, a lot of people don't really look at it anymore just because it's a little bit older. And if you notice, this trend's a little bit more in like the early 2000s. The 99 to about 2004 Ford Mustang GT. So this sits on the S95 like body or chassis, which came out in 94, but then it was updated in 99. Now I say that because those cars are, you know, that's, in my opinion, you could get a lot of car for the money. If you know what you're looking for, you could probably get a lot of car for the money. I mean, you have and I said GT. You know, I'm saying a lot of car for the money because I'm talking about the GT. I would personally never buy a V6 Mustang. Now, you know, I haven't driven one, but actually, no, that's a lie. I have driven one, and it's my friend's and it has an automatic in it. You know, it's cool for him because he just uses it to get to school and whatnot. But for me, it's like, nah, I don't like it. It's, you know, it's not enough power, and then the thing just, you know, you stomp on it, it doesn't really want to go anywhere. Now with the GT though, you have the 4.6 2-valve, or is it 3-valve? No, it's 2-valve V8. Now, you know, it's not the traditional 5.0 that the Fox body had, or the new 2010 models and up, the S9 197 has. Now the Coyote engines, those are just awesome, man. But if you can find one for around $5,000 or under, I'd run, because it's either salvaged, it was salvaged, or there's something very, very catastrophic that is going to happen that the owner isn't telling you about. So if you have like $15,000 to spend, then I would highly recommend you go and look at those. But you know, this video is not about people spending $15,000. So that Mustang, man, I've driven one and they're really fun to drive, especially, you know, if you get them with a stick shift. The autos, again, you know, I think the automatic just kind of ruins that car for me, just because that car is really made for you to, you know, just to bang gears and, you know, go fast. No, you know, it's not very fast, but it's quick. It'll get you from, you know, point A to point B in a decent amount of time. That engine made about 260 horsepower, which is, you know, it's decent, it's respectable. And, you know, you throw it in first or in second, you take a corner, you give it a little bit more gas, you can get the rear end to come out easily. I mean, it's a Mustang, you know, just watch out there's no crowds anywhere. Please, we have to try to save lives as much as we can. Now, if anybody's a Mustang owner, I'm just messing around, you know, I'm not being serious. Please don't take it as, you know, me offending you or anything. So I think those are really cool cars. I mean, me personally, I'd probably, out of all the ones I've mentioned, I'd probably go with the Beamer, just because you know, I know I could probably use it the most, or I could have a lot more fun with it, and I just like the sound that those inline sixes make. But the Mustang is definitely a very strong contender for, you know, a great first car. Now, you know, you're gonna go up to your parents and you're like, hey, I want to get a Mustang, and then maybe your dad had one in high school and he'll be like, oh hell yeah, you know, I had one, so you're gonna get one too. And that's just cool in my opinion, you know what I mean? That it's really cool. Or if your parent, you know, if your dad's really into, if he's a Chevy guy or a Dodge guy, don't tell him you want to get a Mustang, because then it's not gonna work out right. He's gonna be like, what do you mean? We're just gonna get you a Camaro or something like that. You know what I mean? Now, every car's out of the 3 muscle cars, they're all cool in my opinion. I'm not really like, you know, I'm not a diehard Ford guy or anything, but I think they're all just really cool cars that, you know, if you do them the right way, you can definitely have fun. Now, the next car is, it's not really a sports car, really a car. It's more of a truck. I'm talking about like a little bit in the late 90s, you know, midway to early midway 2000s, the Toyota Tacomas. Man, those trucks just don't die. I know a guy who has one. The last time I saw him, I think the thing had like 365,000 miles. And he's like, all I do is change the oil, change the spark plugs and whatnot. And he's like, it just never dies. And I'm like, wow. Man, he's like, this truck it's dead reliable. And what are you gonna expect? It's, you know, it's a Toyota. Like, even Top Gear did that one with the older ones, with the Hilux. Man, they threw it in the ocean. They bombed a building on it. What didn't they do to that car? And it still started up and ran. I mean, that's just a testament to the build quality of those cars. Now, you know, it's not gonna be as nice as a modern truck or a modern Tacoma, but it's still, you know, if you want to go somewhere and you want to go tailgate at a football game, you can still go do that. You can still go carry stuff in the bed, because you know the bed's not that big, but you can still put stuff in it, right? You know, if you're moving, you could probably help your parents. You could probably fit a couch there, or, you know, tie it down or something like that. So it's a very usable truck, and it has like a lot of engine options. I was reading right before this video, I think it had the 2.2 liter 4-cylinder, which I believe is the 5 SFE. Then it had, I think, a 2.4, and then a 3.6 liter V6. So, you know, that's all your preference, whatever you guys want to do. Now, I would warn you though, the Tacomas they hold their price very well, and there's a reason for that. You know, all the things I mentioned is the reason why a lot of these Tacomas are still. There's ones with like 150 grand. People want like $9,000 for them, and I'm like, what? For like a 20-year-old Toyota pickup? That's crazy. But maybe with a lot of searching on it, you could probably find one. Or if you get some help from your parents and you stretch your wallet a little bit, you could probably pick one up. And those are just great trucks. So, you know, I just want to thank all you guys for sticking around and watching. I know it's a little bit longer video. I just wanted to get my opinion out. You know, make sure you like, subscribe, and also let me know in the comment, you know, did I get anything wrong, or are these cars not great first cars? What would be your top 5 great cars for about $5,000? You know, just let me know. I love interacting with people in the comment section. It's so fun. So, you know, you guys all have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.